Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Just waiting till everybody gets on. Okay, looks like everybody's in. Welcome to our Realtor Safety Program. I'm Lisa Ginsburg, and we thank you for being here with us today. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we begin. Please make sure to keep yourself on mute. I believe most of you are. If you don't know how to do so, on the bottom, there is a toolbar and there is a mute button. We'd love to see you. It's not a requirement, but it does make for a better program if we can see your face. So please turn your video on if you feel comfortable. If you do have a question for Stephen, please put it in the chat and we'll make sure that he can hear your question. Or Stephen said you can even unmute yourself and interrupt him. He's fine with that. We are recording this program and it will be sent out to all of our members after the program. And again, we thank you for joining us, and just keep yourself on mute. That's the most important thing. And before we begin with Stephen, I'd like to welcome one of our affiliate members, Chet Dudzinski. He is the owner and publisher of Home and Land, Delaware and Lehigh Valleys of Pennsylvania. And he's going to give us a brief introduction of his services. Thanks, Chet.
Okay. Am I off mute?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, my name's Chet Dudzinski, and the owner and publisher of Homes and Land magazine. If you can see me, you're all familiar with the magazine, I'm sure. So just a brief history before I start. The magazine is currently 42 years old this year. So, and that's just this magazine, which is Bucks, Montgomery, Lehigh, Chester. So it's been around for a long, long time. I've owned it for 5 years, and there were 2 previous owners before me. And we've been fortunate through COVID. We've maintained a really good following. So I appreciate that and all of your support. So what do we do for you and your client? There's so much that we do that it's really hard to do to convey it in 2 to 3 minutes, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest. And then hopefully if I can get who was attending this session, I'll be glad to send out the media kit to those folks. Gives the details. So, okay, so we are a print magazine. And again, I'm going to assume every one of you, I'm sure, have seen it. So what we do is we print a really good quality magazine, and we distribute that to over 350 businesses every month. It's a monthly publication. Businesses like Wawa, supermarkets, pizza shops, anywhere people are. In addition to that, we direct mail. I direct mail every month 2,600 copies to targeted homes. So I pick homes throughout the whole region. And so if you have an ad in the magazine, that magazine also gets direct mailed to all those homes. In addition to that, a copy gets mailed to every listing in the magazine every month. So if you have a client who you put their ad in the magazine, they will get a book mailed to them with their ad in it every month. So that's the physical distribution. Our readership for the physical distribution alone is 46,000 readers. So we reach out to a lot of folks, every walk of life, every kind of person you want is going to see this magazine. So the next thing we have is a mobile app, which is fairly new. We came up with a Homes and Land app that anybody can download for free. Details are in the magazine. It's really cool because you download the mobile app and it allows you to scan, or anybody who looks at the magazine, whether in physical or online, and just scan that photo. All the information about the photo comes up right on their device instantly, along with the listing agent and their info and any other listings that they have. So it pops right up into your device, which you can save, you can send, you can do whatever you want with it. That keeps that interested person directly focused on you. They don't go all around surfing everywhere to look for more information. The H&L Homes and Land website, we have a national website, homesandland.com, and we have a local website, which would be for my magazine locally. The beauty part of that is anybody in the country can go on the website and look at our magazine. So if you have an ad in, and let's say somebody in Denver, Colorado wants to move to Doylestown, they can go on homesandland.com, type in Doylestown, and if you're in the magazine, your listing will also pop up. So they can actually see your listing before they even come into town to look, and not only your listing, but you yourself. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then we have our digital magazine, which is a virtual online digital magazine. You can see it by going on homesandland.com, and you can look at any magazine in the country because it is a national brand. But you can say, I want to see Delaware and Lehigh Valley. It's a virtual magazine, just how you would see it in the physical sense. So again, nationwide, people can do searches for both homes and for realtors. I spoke about the home mail. So what I do is I pick targeted zip codes. I hit Bucks County very heavy, and then I do Montgomery, I do South Philly, I do Mainline, and I do Lehigh County with X amount of magazines. So what I do is I pick the zip codes that make the most sense for the kind of people that you would deal with. And again, that magazine gets mailed right to their house.
Chet, I'm just going to ask you to finish up just because we do have Stephen for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
thank you.
So gotcha. So the last thing is partner sites. We actually syndicate your listings to over 20 different publications like New York Times, Global Homes. There's so if people go onto any of those sites and search, then your listings will pop up. So the point is, we do print, we do web, we do online. And what I'll do is, if I can get a list of who's on this program, I'll definitely send a media kit out to everybody.
All right. Well, thank you, Chet. And we could probably, if you send me the media kit, we could probably send it out to everyone for you.
Okay, perfect. I'll do that.
Okay.
And I also, one last thought, I do offer office Zoom meeting presentations or even physical.
Great. Yeah, send that over and we'll send that out to everyone.
Perfect.
Well, thank you again. And
Thank
feel
you.
free to stay and listen to our safety program if you have the time.
Okay.
It's my pleasure now to introduce our instructor today, Stephen Antoni. Stephen's a native Rhode Islander and a licensed real estate broker for almost 20 years. He has an undying passion for real estate, and when he's not working with buyers and sellers searching for properties, he can be found teaching and training real estate professionals throughout the country, advocating for property rights, private property rights, speaking at local and national events, and helping raise money and awareness for a myriad of charities and organizations. He's a past president of the Rhode Island Association of Realtors, and he has held every leadership position in real estate on the local and state levels. He was voted statewide Rhode Island Realtor of the Year and has gone on to be accepted into the National Association of Realtors Leadership Academy. Thank you, Stephen. We look forward to hearing your presentation.
Well, thank you very much. I stayed awake for that whole introduction too. I think I have the reins here, so I'll put my screen up, but I just wanted to start by saying, you know, we're in a crazy business. I think we'll all kind of agree to that. And there's a lot of things going on at every minute of the day, and our mind gets focused into, you know, myriad places. And we really need to practice a little more focus every now and then on the job at hand. It's a dangerous job too. And again, that may be a small fraction of the time, but when you try to explain to somebody what you do as a realtor, And, you say, oh my God, I went to this one house and I had to make a bed and I had to put dishes away and I had to put laundry in the other room and I had to clean up after the dog and the cat. People say, what do you do? I say, well, I'm a realtor. And I thought you guys just sold houses. So we do go into a lot of situations that we don't know what we're going to be expected to do once we get there. So it can tend to be crazy. So are you all seeing my screen up there right now?
We are.
Okay. All right.
We can see the entire, yes, we are. Thanks.
All right. Very good. So again, 60 minutes, it could save your life. Hopefully a lot of this stuff is second nature to you. And hopefully you'll give me a little bit of your attention today, because again, that's what we need to practice doing again, is taking care of the business at hand, so to speak. So hopefully this is a review of a lot of practices that maybe but maybe aren't really practicing as much. As I said, this business is coming at us 1,000 miles an hour, and we're doing our best just to list and sell properties, but you got to stay safe. This month, according to the National Association of Realtors, is our Realty Safety Month. Every month, every day, every time you go out, you really need to be thinking safety. And that's what this is all about. If you guys learn anything today, or if you're reminded of anything today, I feel, that I've done my job. But here's 3 letters I want you to remember, 3 keys to remember: HGP. You're going to look at that and start trying to come up with the combination here. But HGP, head, gut, phone. That's what I want you to remember for the next couple of minutes today. Head, gut, and your cell phone. Okay, so we'll break that down. Head. I'm talking about this part, your awareness, being aware of your surroundings. We're driving to a showing. Maybe it's your listing, and you're driving to the showing. Most of us are driving to the showing, but on the phone talking to our office or our assistant, going over the inspection that just happened last night, talking to the mortgage broker, finding out why we don't have a clear to close yet, talking to maybe the family as well, making sure the kid's meal is going to be put out in time because you might be running late, and there's 1,000 things going on. And what you really need to do, just for 5 minutes if you can, 3 minutes if that's all that's possible, 10 minutes would be great, but just focus, clear your head, and just focus on the appointment you're going to. Again, if this is your listing, you probably are very familiar with the property. You're probably very familiar with the way it sits, the approach, everything about it. So get a clear head and just think of that property. Focus on this showing. Visualize the property in your mind, and then go through a safety checklist. Now, this can be a mental checklist. This doesn't have to be actually a pad of paper and a roster you're taking out, checking off boxes, but have some type of a safety checklist. And first thing I want to know is, does anybody know where you are right now and what you're doing? Okay, this is one of the easiest things in the world to establish a buddy system. What is a buddy system? A buddy system is a buddy, somebody you can trust and who can trust you, somebody that's got your back. Now, here's the good news. It doesn't even have to be a fellow realtor. It doesn't even have to be anybody that's in the state where you're living. But it's got to be somebody that's going to be by their phone while you're at your showing, and they know where you are and who you're meeting. Now, this of course, is if you know who you're meeting, which is another problem altogether. But have a buddy. So if it's in your office, somebody that you know, that you like, that you trust, and you're their buddy, they're your buddy. So you're driving to this appointment and you call Betty and say, hey, Betty, this is Steve. I just want you to know I'm going to be at 123 Main Street showing the property to this couple. It's a 10 o'clock showing. And, I should be done by, 10:15, 10:30 at the latest. I'll give you a call when I'm done. Now, that sounds silly. That sounds, people said, well, That's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous if you're one of the hundreds of realtors that have been attacked. And worse than that, some of the select few who've even been murdered in the course of doing this business, real estate. Not because there was any rationale or reason for it, but we just became a victim. That's all it is. So it would be nice if someone knew where you were and maybe even who you were meeting, if that's the case. But get that buddy system going. If you don't do it, do it. And if you can't find a buddy in your office, your broker should be, I hope it is, a person you can count on and will do that for you. At the beginning of this and at the end of this today, my phone number is going to be up there. If you cannot find a buddy, I will be your buddy. That's how serious and important this is. So establish your buddy system. This is all, again, in that 5-minute time you're on your way to that appointment. Have an escape plan. God forbid something happens, and I pray it never does. But God forbid it happens. What is your escape plan? That gets as simple as parking. How do you park when you go to your showing? Are you courteous like most realtors and you pull all the way up to the driveway to the garage door so that your client can pull in behind you, blocking you from leaving? Maybe rethink that. Maybe park at the bottom of the driveway with the car facing out. Maybe park in front of the house in a way where you can't be boxed in. Again, this is a horrible thing if it ever happens, but it's so easy to plan for it and hope and pray that it never happens. So you're parking. The other thing is, if this is your listing, you know this house. Where is the safe room in this house? Again, something happens to you, you need to run for safety and make a 911 call. Where is the safe room? And that is usually a room that you can lock yourself into, that somebody can't get in. And then, unfortunately, and I hate to be graphic, where are the kill zones in this house? Generally, it's a basement. And I've talked to many agents, who say, hey, Steve, I don't do basements. They want to see the basement, they can go down there. There's a furnace over there, there's a workbench and a water heater. Have a great time. And they can even say that to their clients. Listen, I don't do basements. If you got to go down, follow them down. Don't lead them down. I mean, obviously, make sure it's safe for them to go down there too. But, hug the bottom of that stairway if you do go down, because you're the first one to be able to escape from that situation. And I hate to make this sound, again, horrible and scary, but be prepared. That's the best thing that you can do. And chances are nothing's going to happen. But God forbid if it does, you're somewhat prepared. The G is the gut. Wow, that's not a pretty picture. All right, let's get past that picture for a second there. The gut. What is the gut? The gut is your sixth sense, your intuition, your instinct. That that feeling you get that something's just not right here. Sometimes people call it the heebie-jeebies. And you hear people say, "Oh, the hair on the back of my neck stood up." That could be, again, a trigger from the gut. You hear people say, "All right, let's do a gut check." What's your gut telling you? And again, all those phrases we probably have all used, but let's think them through. This is the brain. Everything starts here. So if you have a clear head, if you're prepared for the showing and you've ran through that mental safety checklist, and you've got all that stuff we just talked about categorized and lined up in order, then the head's going to telegraph all the information to the rest of the body. Generally, you get that feeling in your stomach. And, I use the word gut because I want you to remember it. But it's that gut feeling. Trust your gut. Trust your instincts. Trust that they've been around since you were born. And same thing with this part upstairs here. They know you. Trust them. When you're getting that feeling something's not quite right here, maybe it's not, so you should be on a heightened alert. When you pull up to that house I mentioned before that if it's your listing, look for things that are maybe not in place. I always tell my agents as a practice, get there early and go do a quick run around the exterior of the house. I don't mean a physical run, but go do a quick scan of the outside of the house. If you go around the back side of the house and the back door has been kicked in, that's time for you to call the police, call the listing agent if it's not your listing, call the owner if it is your listing, and do not go in that house. Okay, this is not time to be Superman or Wonder Woman. This is a time for you to be safe and for you to keep your clients safe too, by the way, because you certainly don't want to lead somebody else into the middle of something that is not in your control. So do a quick scan of the exterior. If it looks like something's been broken into, a window's broken, a door's not locked, I don't show that house. I make a few phone calls. I get my people, make my apologies. You know what? I'd rather what do they say? Better safe than sorry. That's it. And that's your gut telling you. That's your eyes seeing for you. That's your head in a clear state because you took 5 minutes to not make 20 phone calls on the way to that showing. And you're really prepared and you're aware. You're intuitive. Everything is, you're banging on all 8 cylinders, as they say. Third, and probably the most important thing, is this little piece of technology here, your cell phone. Okay, I will say this a couple of times today. This should not leave your hand during the entire showing. It should not leave your body, but better yet, in your hand. Now, does this look unnatural? I mean, you go to the supermarket, you see people shopping and they get their phone in their hand, usually the keys in their hand too. And you see people walking to work and they get their phone in their hand. And you see even kids at school. And you see fellow realtors walking around with their phone in their hand. It does not look unnatural. It's almost an extension of your arm and you're part of your hand now. Do not let go of this thing. This is your lifeline. Okay, now there's a lot of things the phone can do. The phone's a camera. And with very little practice, right now I'm unlocking my phone and I've just turned the camera on. Now, how can that possibly be helpful? Well, again, since this is not an obtrusive look, I'm meeting my client for the first time. Maybe I don't know them. Maybe I didn't previously meet them. Maybe this isn't our 4th or 5th showing. Maybe this is one of those, hey, I'd like to see that house on Smith Street at 2 o'clock. And you say, sure. And you're there. Now you've got a recording of what they look like. If you flip your thumb over to the side, you hit the video. Now you've got a video of exactly what's going on. Now, again, you're not standing there going, okay, hang on a second. No, back up a little bit. You're not in focus. Perfect. There we go. No, this is an extension of your hand. And you're filming, you're videotaping the whole time. Again, when your stomach is telling you, when your mind, the hair on the back of your neck, whatever the alarm is that your body gives you, when something doesn't feel right, get the phone out and start using some of its stuff there. You can also pre-program a distress code on your phone. Now, again, I don't know what phones you have, but I've got an iPhone 11. If you've got an iPhone 11 and you hold both of the buttons on the side together and just hold them there, it'll bring up your emergency screen and you can dial without unlocking your phone. You can dial 911 if you need to. Some of the other phones used to have, if you push the button 5 times in quick succession, it can pre-dial a 911. Hopefully you all have 911 on your phone as one of your numbers pre-programmed so that it's a 1-button dial. So God forbid anything happens, you're walking around, maybe your thumb is hovering right over the send button on that 911 call. Now, again, not every single showing you're going to be in a heightened state because something doesn't seem right, but you're prepared, you're ready. If again, that happens to be the case. Pre-planned calls. This is what I talked about earlier, pre-planned calls. Your buddy, you tell him, hey, Mary, I'm meeting this guy for the first time. I don't know who he is or not, but the appointment's at 5 o'clock tonight. Do me a favor, please call me at 5, and then call me at 5:05. And then maybe even 5:15 till I tell you everything's good. And if I happen to say, oh, Mary, thanks for calling. Hey, listen, I really need that red file. Yeah, I'm over at 25 Smith Street right now in, whatever town, but I really need that red file if you could get that for me. Maybe that's your cue. Maybe that's the code for her to know, oh my God, something's going on, something's wrong, and they're going to call 911 and send people out to that address. Now, again, you got to trust this buddy, and this is not a game. This is not like, hey, I'm going to fool her this time. No. There's no games in this. This is truly, potentially, life or death. But maybe you have that pre-planned. Hang on a second. I apologize. Yeah. Listen, no, I'm in the middle. No, I'm in the middle of a presentation for Pennsylvania here. I'll call you back. I'll be done at 1. Okay. Thanks. Sorry. I apologize. Now, how many people think I just got a call then? Look real? That wasn't a call. That was what I call the phone call, a phony call. How easy is it for you to do that if you get into a situation and you sense fear? We always have our phones on mute. We always have our ringers on silence. It doesn't look unnatural when you say, oh, somebody's calling me, hang on a second. That doesn't look unnatural, but that may get you out of trouble someday. And, as many times as I've done safety classes, I had somebody call me back about 1.5 years ago and they said, oh my God, Steve, I think you might have saved my life. I was like, well, what are you talking about? That phony call thing you did? Well, I told my husband about it and he thought it was it was a bunch of crap, and I practiced it. And she said, and I got a call one night for a showing at 5:30 from this nurse. And she said, I just started at the hospital and I'm getting off and I really want to see this house. Can I meet you there at 5? And, if I don't have to get stuck at a second shift or anything, and she said, oh, no problem. And she did what I told her. She went in and turned on all the lights if it's an evening showing in the house, got there early, and then stood somewhere near the front of the house so they could see the person approaching. Again, it was dark. Well, as that person approached, the car pulled up and 3 guys jumped out of the car and started coming toward the house. Without thinking, she went out the front door, pulled it shut and locked it behind her with her phone to her ear, just started babbling to these guys, said, oh my God, my daughter's at her volleyball game and I think she might have just broke her leg. I am sorry, I have to reschedule. I am so sorry, I apologize. She got in her car, locked the door and took off. And she had the ability to clear her head for a moment and say, oh my God, this is not some girl that's a young nurse from the hospital. What's going on? Now, it could have been nothing. But you know what? As she looks back on it today, she's alive. It was nothing. She was prepared. She did what she was supposed to do. And again, she was thinking clear. The other thing about this phone is there's a lot of safety features on here. And again, if you don't know what they are and you have a small child in your family, let them explain it to you, okay? Because that's probably who knows it better than I. And as far as safety apps go, there is a plethora of safety apps out there. I don't particularly promote any apps. The National Association of Realtors, NAR.Realtor, has a safety section on safety protocols, and they recommend some apps. Now, some people find the apps are, maybe, skirt some legal issues or maybe, fairness issues and things. So again, I'm not promoting any apps. There are some great apps out there, but if you're doing some of the stuff I'm talking to you about today, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the apps that are out there, and it's not going to cost you anything. So sharpen again these three assets: the head, keep your head clear when you go into these showings; the gut, trust your instincts. If something feels out of place and feels wrong because you had a clear head and you noticed, you drove up to that listing of yours, and as you approached, you saw a car across the street, and there were a couple of guys in the car, and something looked out of place. Maybe the license plate was from another state, or the way they were looking around at everybody who drove by, just, I don't know, didn't seem right. This was telling this, let's rethink this showing today. Keep going, drive around the block, and maybe see if it doesn't feel right, then reschedule the showing. By the way, we're not selling every single showing we go to, and we're not listing every single house we go to a listing appointment. Cancel, reschedule it, stay safe, but trust those instincts, and always carry your phone with you. I know sometimes we do open houses, and especially ladies, we make a little nest over by the front door. We've got our table, and we got maybe our cookies and whatever we're giving out this particular week, and our handbag and our phone. And then you go to do the showing of the house, and you're doing your Vanna White. This is the living room, this is the bedroom, and the phone is at your nest, at the front desk, at the open house registry where you're at. This does not leave your hand during the showing. Okay, does not leave your hand. Practice with it. It gets easier. Personal safety, you can take self-defense classes, you can carry pepper spray, mace, you can go to weapons trainings. But again, the biggest thing you're going to take away from that personal safety and those classes is self-awareness. Aware of your situation. You wouldn't be in the situation if you were aware of it as you were stepping into it. So self-defense classes are great. Great way to stay in shape. Great way to find centers of balance, because maybe all you need to do is get somebody off balance. Maybe you need to distract and misdirect. I got to tell you about pepper spray, mace, weapons. First of all, if you're in a concealed carry permit state, and or some states you don't even need a concealed carry permit, but if you're going to take a weapon to a showing because maybe it's in an unsavory part of town or somewhere where there's a high incidence of crime, here's something a police officer told me once. If you're going to bring a weapon somewhere, you need to be prepared. If it's a gun, for example, you need to be prepared to pull out that gun and shoot someone in the head dead. That's a real sobering thought, because pulling it out and waving it around is going to get it turned on you, and it's going to get you shot. So if you're not prepared to take someone's life, I really want to be point blank on this. Do not bring a weapon. Pepper spray, mace, stun guns, whatever, they can have an undesired effect. We think it's going to debilitate the bad guy or the bad girl. But I've been told again by law enforcement that if somebody is kind of hopped up on some drug, you might actually be enhancing the experience for them by spraying them with pepper spray or mace or a stun gun even. These things don't, we're watching too many movies if you see somebody spray mace at somebody. And by the way, I know a lot of ladies particularly carry around pepper spray, mace, whatever, and it's the same can they've been carrying around for 8 years now because God bless, they've never had to pull it out and use it. Does it even work? And do you know how to use it? And have you ever practiced with it? Like how to spray somebody? And it all sounds silly, but think about it. Have you? chances are the answer is no to a lot of those questions. So if it makes you feel more confident and safe, that, I guess that's one thing, but don't count on it for saving your life necessarily. But again, I'm not saying don't take self-defense classes and don't do this. Weapons are bad idea for weapons. There's some homegrown safety gear. Whistle. You ever have like a little whistle? And again, it's on the keychain. You're carrying your keys. Doesn't look unnatural. You ever been like in close range with somebody with one of those referee whistles when they give it a blow? It's deafening. It's deafening. It's enough to distract somebody that's trying to put you into a situation. When attackers attack, when people are trying to get you, to take advantage of you, to do bad things to you, what they're trying to do, first of all, is they're trying to put you in this bubble. They're trying to captivate you in such a way that nothing else is going on around you except what's happening right here face to face. And once they get you in that bubble and in almost in their trance, you're almost like in a trance, and they say things to like, don't you scream. And you're petrified and you're not going to scream. If you could do something to break that bubble, to distract just for a split second, that's your opportunity to get out of that situation, to get out. This isn't time to square off with somebody, and this isn't time to fold up and be a victim and just lay there helplessly. Distract and get out of there. That could be a whistle. That could be, again, not an unusual thing to see on a keychain or in someone's pocket, those little air horns. The air horn you have on a boat, those little tiny ones, they can deafen you for a moment, for a second. And that's all you need. Break that bubble and get out of the situation. A lot of us have keys for our car. It looks like a little key fob, and there's usually a little red button on there, and that'll sound the horn off. Well, if the car is close enough to the house and you've got that in your pocket and something's happening that's not right and you hit that button, that horn starts beeping. That's enough maybe to distract whoever's trying to get you in their trance long enough for you, again, to break away. Pepper spray, mace can be pretty expensive. You know what works just as well? Wasp spray, hornet spray. You ever go to the supermarket or to the Home Depot or Walmart or wherever you shop, and you grab a can of wasp or hornet spray? Not an unusual thing to be in a realtor's car. I mean, how many times have you shown a property and there was a bee's nest right by the back door? And maybe your buyer was allergic and you were, hey, realtor, always thinking of the client, got my wasp spray, hornet spray, whatever spray, saved the day. Well, that can also debilitate somebody, just pretty much as good as some of those maces and pepper sprays that are out there. And they shoot 20 feet. And you can buy 2 cans for $5 and practice with one in your backyard. So you know how to shoot it and you know where that spray is going. Keys. In some of the self-defense classes, they tell you to have your keys and to have the keys poking through your fingers. And now you've almost got like a mace, not the spray mace, but like the old, warrior weapon, So you're weaponizing yourself in a sense with all these homegrown things. By the way, anything with any weight will work. It's not unusual to go into a house with this. This is a flashlight, real powerful flashlight. And again, shine this flashlight in somebody's eyes, you could blind them momentarily. Now, again, you're not going to say, hey, wait, hang on before you attack me. Where's my light? Okay, hang on. I hope the batteries are still good. How does this thing work? Okay, look right in here. Obviously, you're not going to do that. But if you have it and you're carrying it around with you because maybe you want to point out some things in the attic or in the basement or wherever you happen to be in the house, get a good flashlight like this one that's got a lot of weight to it. Boy, if you weaponize this thing and it's in your hand and somebody's attacking you and you take a swing at them with this, this is going to hurt. I mean, this is all metal. I bought this at BJ's. It was like $19. Great flashlight, and it weighs about 5 pounds. It could potentially be a weapon if I needed it to be, but you know what? 99.9% of the time, it's a flashlight. So again, don't buy it and weaponize it. You've all heard the expression fight or flight. I really think that should be the other way around. It should be flight. And if that doesn't work, then I guess I got to fight. So think of it as flight or fight. And if it comes to a point where it's you against them and you can't get out of the situation, you know, especially when they say, don't you scream. That all you should hear is, hey, scream. When they say don't scream, why do you think they say don't scream? Because they know people are going to hear it. And they want you in this bubble. And they're going to say and point and maybe horrible things they're going to say to you and what they'll do to you and your family and your children or whatever. Scream. Scratch. Every unfair fight, remember in school, you know, all right, no scratching, no biting. You know, this is time to scratch and bite and scream and weaponize anything. Swing whatever you can grab if you're being attacked. Ladies with the handbag, you know, throw a brick in there. And then that thing really is armed if there's any room in there for a brick. I mean, but kicking is legal here in a fight for life, by the way. And weaponizing the keys in your fist, if you have them, anything heavy, anything you can reach. And the hardest parts of you, if you're being grabbed from behind or, you know, somehow subdued that way, this thing right here, this head, real powerful weapon, very hard too. And if you're directing the blow, you're ready for it. It doesn't hurt as much as when you get hit in the head when you're not expecting it. Elbows, really hard stuff. You know, you ever go try to punch a wall? You punch a wall this way, get all these fingers that you're going to injure and hurt. You're probably going to walk away going like that. Turn around to a wall and hit it with your elbow. It doesn't really hurt that much, and it does a lot more damage. Knees, same thing. Knee, very powerful. You've got the biggest muscle in your body right there on your thigh, and it's going to hurt. If you've got a kick, try with the heel instead of the toe. And again, back to that heel. Boy, if somebody grabs you from behind and they're trying to take advantage of you or at least subdue you, you take your heel and grind it as hard as you can into their toes. They're going to stop what they're doing. Trust me, that hurts. And again, if you got heavy, thick heels, that's really going to hurt. So, you know, make yourself a weapon if that's the only thing left. That's why I'm saying flight or fight. And again, a fight is not, okay, hang on a second. All right, put up your dukes. Let's see what you got. And don't try any of this Karate Kid stuff either. This is not fair fighting. This is life or death stuff. So these are some things that I want you to remember. And I want you to also listen to this. Nothing is random. Most attacks are pre-planned. Most attacks are pre-planned. Where do these attacks happen? They happen everywhere. They've happened in your state. You know, back in 1997, there was a woman named Charlotte Finiano. She was murdered in a house she went to show, and they didn't find her till the next day. I'm guessing she didn't have a buddy. I'm guessing she didn't tell somebody where she was going, and when she didn't come home that night or appear, I'm sure they were like, geez, I wonder what happened. You know, let's go out and look. The police found her at this home the next day. It was a vacant house. 2007, 2009 in your state, there was a guy who raped a real estate agent, 2 of them. 2 years apart. I'm going to show you an interesting slide in a minute too. He's in jail right now, thankfully, and hopefully for the next 100 years. And then even in 2020, in your state, you know, there was a sexual assault by a guy posing as a contractor. And the woman, who was an assistant to a realtor, let the contractor in the house because he was there to do some quotes, and he wasn't a contractor at all. And she was sexually assaulted at the home as well. Now, could any of those things been prevented? God, I'd like to think so, but I'd like to think that maybe if everybody had a clear head going in, if everybody went through a mental safety checklist beforehand, that, I don't know, maybe some of it could have been prevented. NAR came out with a video not too long ago, which I want to play for you right now. And this is true story stuff. I actually know the lady in here personally. And I just want you to listen to this one.
Member safety is a matter of your life or your death.
I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be in a situation to where I would have a 9mm held to my head.
It was a day like any other when James Olson, an agent with more than 35 years' experience, set out to meet a blind lead at a vacant property, something he had done countless times before.
I was actually with my wife on the way to an appointment. I had never met this person, and she was sitting on the front porch waiting for me, and I just told my wife to wait in the car. We walked through the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. Now, I've been in this property a number of times, and it just seemed odd to me that all the doors were closed. So I went to grab the bedroom door, and out came a masked gunman holding a 9mm to my head. He was all dressed in black like a ninja. He had a hoodie on, sunglasses, face mask, black gloves, black everything. Within a couple seconds, another guy dressed the same held a 9mm up against the side of my head. I had my hands up in the air, and he said, "Get down to the floor." So I took his gun, and he hit me in the back of the head. I went falling to my knees. Blood was flowing in my eyes. They're asking me where the money is, and I told them I didn't have any, so they rifled my pockets and pulled my pants down and socks and shoes off, and they wound up making away with my wedding ring, my wallet, and my iPhone. And he came back to me and said, "Give us 10 minutes or we're coming back here and killing you." These guys are out there, and if they attack me, more than likely they're going to be going after somebody else. This was a predatory assault. They didn't just randomly pick me, they stalked me.
Jim Olson was surveilled and targeted based on his job as collecting rents as a property manager. They knew what day to lure him into the property that was vacant so he could be robbed at gunpoint. Studies have shown that agent male victims were attacked 30% of the time. And we know with Jim Olson, and he's a big burly man, infantry soldier, never was in fear that something could happen, and he was a victim of a violent robbery. And now, listen to his story, he changes the way he does business. He arrives at a home much earlier than the appointment time and does a circumference of the house to see if there's anything out of place or if there's any broken windows or forced entry.
Kitty Wallace, a managing broker with almost 20 years' experience, has faced off with numerous predators.
One of my most recent experiences was from a gentleman who wanted to see a home. I I have a practice that I have them meet me at the office for the first time. This particular gentleman didn't want to meet me at the office, so that did put a red flag up for me.
Working in a rural area with limited cell phone reception, Kitty remained steadfast in her safety protocols, but the caller had a plan of his own.
He was very insistent, and it was, can you meet me there in an hour? And I said, no, unfortunately, I can schedule an appointment with you. We can sit down and see what your needs are. No, I want to see this house. And he said, okay, then meet me in 2 hours. He just kind of kept moving the time frame for me. And when that escalated and he wouldn't meet me, he ended up calling my office. He was swearing at me saying that, that's my job. I need to meet him here. What is my seller going to do when he finds out I won't show him this property, etc. And I just didn't let myself get bullied. I really stood my ground and didn't meet with him at all. I've always kind of just accepted it's part of the job, and that's really not okay. So I reported it to my local association, and they sent an email blast to all the agents. 2 other agents reached out to me, and they had also been approached by this gentleman. Maybe I prevented something bad happening not only to myself, but maybe somebody else as well. I do believe that the intent of some clients is not to buy a house. The intent is to see what they could do if they got me a loan.
Jim and Kitty's harrowing stories display the 2 types of predatory motives: profit and power and control.
There is a misconception that crimes against agents are random opportunistic street crime, and in fact, they're of predatory nature. And by understanding predatory behavior and learning that you can remove weakness, subservience, and vulnerability out of your daily practice, you'll be able to keep yourself safe.
I think realtor safety is one of the most important things that any realtor can learn about.
The goal of the Realtor Safety Program is to reduce the number of incidents in our industry so this way you can come home to your family every night. You deserve it and they deserve it.
I think having these protocols in place is definitely the key to saving my life. 99.9% of the time, our job is amazing. It's that 0.01% that's not worth my life.
All right. Some very sobering stuff there. I think you'd agree. The point of that, and I got to be honest too. When I teach these classes, sometimes people say, "Oh, well, Steve, you're just trying to scare me. You're just trying to scare people." And something, I am. But I'm trying to scare you to be aware of this stuff. That's all. Just to be aware that it does happen. Hundreds of agents in the last year or two have been attacked. The number, again, in 1 year, nearly 60,000 members were victims of violent crimes, including assault, sexual abuse, rape, robbery, and murder. Now, these are the same slides that were just in that video, but I just want to go over them line by line for a minute. 60,000 out of an organization that's 1.5 million. It's really only maybe 1 out of 25 when you think about it. What does that come out to? 4%? But look at the number, 60,000. That's a lot of people. I don't want to be one of those numbers, and I don't want any of you to be one of those numbers. NAR.Realtors/safety is the website for the National Association of Realtors and their safety program. I was talking to your CEO before we began today, and it's like, oh, we need to get everybody in front of this stuff to look at it. This is an opportunity. If there's any brokers on the phone or on the conversation now on the Zoom, take today's class, even break it down into 15-minute chunks. And if you need something to talk about in an office meeting, or you need a reason to have an office meeting, if ever there was a reason, this is it. If you could prevent somebody from being harmed, somebody that's in your own office in that case, I don't think that's anything but a great thing to have happen. So use the website again, NAR.Realtors/safety, and look at some of the stuff. 23% of members reported working in fear. That was according to the 2020 safety assessment survey that the National Association of Realtors did with members. Now, think about that. 23% of members reported working in fear. Again, not every day of their lives and every showing, but at some point, that gut was telling them, hey, something's not right here. And hopefully they did something about it. And maybe that's why they're not a statistic now. Crime statistics show a predator attacks 11 victims prior to being arrested and convicted. You know, I mentioned, again, in your state, in 2007, I don't want to say a gentleman, a guy called a real estate agent to show a vacant property. It was a female, which he knew because that's who he called. He lured her in, tased her with a taser, and then raped her. 2 years later, did the same thing. So again, do you want to be somewhere in that number 1 to 11? And you heard one of the things that Kitty said, and this has been done nationally, but it needs to be done more. And that is that if there is something that's out of place and wrong, report it. And you say, well, who do I report it to? You report it first to your broker, then you report it to your local association. They already have a standard of practice and a protocol to alert, send out an email blast to everybody saying, you know, an agent so-and-so, you know, not naming names, but an agent in such and such county was approached by a gentleman claiming to be this and this. Please be on high alert for this. You know, again, hopefully you're reading those email blasts too, but report it. Don't let somebody else fall victim as one of that 1 to 11. Here's a stat that's really scary. I'm telling you, hundreds of agents have been killed in the last few years. 80% of the crimes go unreported. So what does that mean? That means that there was a lot of practice happening before there was maybe 200 plus homicides happened. So report stuff to help your fellow realtor. Another slide said male agents make up 30% of all attacks. This guy in Wisconsin, he was a big guy. He still is. He's a big guy, a former infantry soldier. Now, I would think twice if I was saying, okay, do I want to go after the little skinny guy or do I want to go after the big stocky guy? I'm probably going to go for the little skinny guy if I want to feel that whatever I'm going to do is going to, you know, end in me being victorious instead of this guy. But again, you got a weapon held to your head. You got nothing on this one. This isn't time to put up your dukes, buddy. Let's see what you're made of. No. Unfortunately, this is time to listen. Men are at a higher risk, however, of the violent crimes. So again, maybe the attackers feel that if it's a guy, they have to come armed or swinging something. Real safety tips. Don't let your guard down. Arrive at the appointment early. Like I said, do a little run around the exterior of the property, looking for something, looking for signs of break-ins, looking for any unusual activity. I mean, if you know this neighborhood, like I said, and it's your listing, and you see a car parked across the street from your listing, and it's got some people in it, maybe an out-of-state plate, maybe a car that looks out of place, maybe people that look out of place. That's unusual activity. That's maybe time to drive by, especially if you haven't activated your buddy system, if nobody knows where you're at. And, you know, it's always a good idea too. If you're going on a late appointment or a nighttime appointment, bring someone with you. You know, bring someone with you. You know, and I don't mean an infant or a child. I mean, bring someone with you because again, these guys, these people who are attacking, and they could be girls too, but these people who are attacking are looking for an easy mark. They're looking to dominate and control this situation. If you throw a variable at them that they weren't expecting, then you might have gotten the jump on them. And again, exit a property immediately if anything feels or looks out of the ordinary, looks off, and report it promptly. Kitty mentioned this too. Don't disregard inappropriate behavior. If somebody's acting inappropriately, if they're saying inappropriate things, if they're doing inappropriate things, don't pass that off as, oh, the guy's just a jerk, or he's just, being silly. They're not being silly. This is part of their MO, if you will. Be aware of victim shopping. If they are calling you, and Kitty mentioned this in her interview there, they were calling her on the phone. They called to see, well, let's see if we can get her to show up on an unscheduled appointment at night at the end in a secluded house by herself. And she wasn't having it. And, good for her that she held her ground. When we started this business, I've been doing this 25 years now. When we started, I remember them saying, bring the clients into the office, get their ID, find out who you're dealing with. And I don't know, at some point or at some time, we stopped doing that. We get a phone call, hey, I'd like to see that property. Okay, I'll meet you there in 5 minutes. And we're out the door. At some point, you got to remember to stay safe and stick to your protocols, stick to your rules, listen to your intuition. Again, something feels wrong. If your body's telling you, something's not right here, it's probably not. Pre-meet with your clients if you can. And if you do that, hopefully it's in your office, but if it's not, it's in a public space where other people can see them. Have your safety protocols, report any incidents, and again, NAR.Realtor/safety. You're paying for this. This is part of our National Association of Realtors. There's some great information here. That video you just saw, along with some other videos, is there. And again, I'm speaking now to the brokers. If you need something to show to your agents, or maybe to help your agents, this couldn't be any easier than this. Okay. I will ask if there's any questions. I know that you didn't interrupt me, Lise, but were there any questions or anything that I can maybe answer?
There were no questions, just some people saying thank you, and somebody saying, the iPhone is great for emergency alerts. There's some cool apps. Somebody said Amazon sells tactical flashlights and pens.
Yep.
So it was mostly just thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, and I want to say this to all of you, and I really mean this sincerely, is thank you. Thank you for at least giving me an hour of your time, and hopefully you were reminded of stuff that, maybe in, again, this fast-paced market where we kind of forget, we kind of discount, we kind of say, well, we don't need to do that. And although this is Safety Month, stay safe throughout the whole year. I really mean that. My name and number is here. If you want to reach me, info@steven.realtor. And I even put my cell phone up here. If you need a buddy, again, I mean that with all seriousness too. I would be honored to help you.
Wow. Well, that's very generous of you to offer. And we truly appreciate your time. And thank you for all these great tips. And stay safe, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.